Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we'll be focusing on the repair of a Lenovo 11S. This is a 2014 model. What used to be a pretty popular Ultrabook. So basically the problem is it's not turning on anymore, and we've gone through a few diagnostics and it seems like the motherboard is basically fried. So what we're going to do today is we'll be throwing out the old motherboard, putting in a new one. This new motherboard was bought on eBay for about $110. And we thought while we're doing that, might as well change out the battery, as that's starting to become an issue as well. And that was gotten off of eBay for about $40. So when you're looking for this motherboard on eBay, what you want to do is look for this specific model number, IdeaPad Yoga 11S, and then make sure it's 20246, and then that it says i5-4210Y. The processor has to match what you previously already had on your laptop. So we're going to go with this one. Another way to confirm that this is the right one is to make sure that on the die here where the processor sits that you see two separate chips. That's one of the defining features for this motherboard. This is the top of the motherboard and then the bottom of the motherboard. Make sure it's advertised as a functioning board. And then in terms of the battery, this is what I was able to find on eBay. Here's the model number for that. And you should be able to find this for around $30 to $40. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the 10 screws on the bottom. You'll need a T5 screwdriver to do this. Now for this one we're already missing 2 screws, so we'll just remove the remaining 8. Alright, so after we've removed those 8, or in your case 10 screws, we will remove the rubber pads here on the bottom. Just these 2. This one. Should just come off like that. And then we'll have 2 Phillips screws here, if you can see that. Now after we've removed all those screws, next thing we'll do is we'll flip the laptop over, open it up, now using a flathead we will pry off the keyboard. It should just pop out. Now you'll have a ribbon cable here, and what you'll do here is just pop it out. And then it should just flip out. So now we can remove the keyboard, set that aside. The next two screws you want to remove are these two. But before we do, we'll be removing 3 more ribbon cables. So this one over here, flip that black part up, slip the cable out. Do the same for this one. And then this one over here. Just like that. And then we'll be removing these 2 screws. One of them will be underneath a sticker. All you need to do is peel that off, and then you can unscrew them. You'll need a Phillips for this. So now the next thing we're going to do is remove this entire black plate. And to do that, we're going to fold the screen all the way back. Like so. And then we'll pry this off, again using our Flathead screwdriver. So you can pry it off at the corners here. It should come right up. Do that along the entire edge here. So there we go. So we'll put that aside. So what we have here is, down here is the entire battery. Actually takes up most of the space inside. And then this top portion here is the actual motherboard itself, which we will be replacing. And what we have here is the memory, in this case about 4 gigs. And then up here we have the SATA SSD, which we will be keeping as well. So both of these we will be removing from the board and placing onto our new board. Alright. Next thing we're going to do is remove the battery. So to do that, we're going to remove the memory first. Set that aside. Then we'll unplug this cable, like so. And then we'll lift up the battery. Set that aside. Next thing we're going to do is remove the SATA SSD, and to do that we're going to remove this Phillips screw first. And then we're just going to lift it like so. And then it should slide out. We'll set that aside. So the next thing we're going to do is remove the LCD screen. And we'll do that by removing 4 screws by the hinges. For this you'll need a Phillips. Then you'll want to unplug two cables. This one being the first. We'll lift and peel off this sticker. For now. And then we'll unplug this cable. And then unplug this one as well. So we'll lift the sticker off. Peel it back just enough. And then unplug the cable. Just like that. And then remove the screen. And then we'll set this aside. Next thing we're going to be doing is removing the heatsink and cooling fan, and that will require removing 1, 2, 3, and 4 Phillips screws. And then we'll lift up this piece of tape here and remove the fan connector. Slowly slide it out to the right. Like so. And then we're gently going to lift this up, starting here from the CPU. And the whole thing should come right off. Next thing we're going to do is disconnect some connectors here. Starting with these here. These just pop up. Like that. And then you have another connector down here. This should slowly slide out like that. And then you have this screw here. This will be one of the 2 screws left holding down this motherboard. So you'll need a Phillips for that. The next thing is to disconnect the power connector, which is up here. So you want to be gentle with this power connector. When you remove it, it removes upward. So don't pull it out. Make sure you pry it upward a bit and it should slide off its pins. Next we'll remove this small connector here. Like so. And then we'll remove this final screw, keeping the motherboard down. And then we'll pull out the motherboard. And now we'll begin the process of putting in the new motherboard and battery. Now, assuming your new motherboard doesn't come with these components here for the Wi-Fi, you're going to have to remove this orange cable and also this chip here, which is just on there with a adhesive. So we're going to remove that now. The cable itself should just pop off. And now we'll have to remove this chip here. So to remove this chip from the adhesive, we're going to have to be a little careful and try to use a knife or a box cutter. And we're going to get underneath the adhesive here. Once you get under the adhesive with your knife, just slowly peel it away. Like so. And now you have your chip removed. Now this will go on the adhesive of the new board in the same spot. So once you put the Wi-Fi chip back on, onto the adhesive, and then hook up this ribbon cable, now you're ready to put the board back into the chassis. So then we'll plug in these cables. Once you plug in these two connectors here, and then this third one back here underneath these wires, you want to go on your left side of your board, and then you want to plug in this guy as well. So in preparations for the next step, in which we will be installing back on the heatsink and fan, you'll need to make sure you have some thermal paste, something like this. And then on the fan itself, you'll have to remove any of the remaining old thermal paste. And to do that, we're going to be using just a regular alcoholic pad to do the removal with. Okay, and once you get most of the thermal paste off, it looks something like this, then we can continue on to the next step. So you want to take your thermal paste that you have, and we're just going to put a small dab on each one of these chips here. That's kind of a mess, but something like that, maybe ideally a little less, but we'll go with that. Now we'll screw these down using the 4 screws we removed before. Next we will be reconnecting the power cable over here. Once you connect your power connectors, it should look something like this. Remember, you drop them in from the top, they don't slide in horizontally, so make sure you do that correctly. Once the 4 screws for the hinges are put in, then we can start plugging in both these connectors. Once we put back in the connectors for the screen here and here, next thing we want to do is lay down the tape for the fan here. First you want to plug that in, and then we'll put the tape back. So make sure you plug that connector back in. So next thing we're going to do is put in the new battery. Next we'll put in the RAM. And then we'll put in the SSD. And make sure to put back in the screw for the SSD. Now we can snap on the base plate. Once you have the base plate on it, the next thing we're going to do is to make sure to plug back in the 3 ribbon cables. It's this one, and then these 2 as well. Next you want to screw in these 2 screws next to the RAM chip. Next we're going to put in the keyboard. Make sure to plug in its ribbon cable over here. You want to make sure you slide it in from the bottom first and then push down the top part. So the final step will be putting in the screws on the back. We'll start off with the black screws that go underneath rubber pads. Alright, so now we'll turn this laptop over and make sure everything works. And there you go. Looks like the laptop is functioning again. So that was how to fix a Lenovo 11S laptop. Thanks for watching.